I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Justin Banon, the CEO and co-founder of the Boson Protocol. Justin, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here.
Thanks, Ashton, and great to be here.
I'd love to start by understanding more on the Boson Protocol. I know it integrates real-world data into commerce, but can you explain exactly what it does and how it integrates the blockchain into the real world?
Sure. So if you take commerce or e-commerce, currently there are a couple of ways in which you can enable and coordinate those transactions. So you could use a centralized intermediary such as eBay or Amazon, and that comes with a host of problems such as, not to mention trust, but cost
Mm-hmm.
and friction. So if you wanted to enable decentralized commerce, so commerce without an intermediary, how would you do that? And the existing architecture um, would require you essentially to have some sort of an arbitrator in case of disputes. So you'd escrow payments, and if there was a problem with a quality or a reversal or refund, that the arbitrator would adjudicate on that. But that again still adds cost and friction. So the question we ask, the problem that we address is it possible to enable commerce in a decentralized way that is autonomous, that doesn't require that human arbitration? And that's the problem that Boson addresses.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And with the lockdowns earlier this year, and it seems like less people are going out. Like e-commerce has grown exponentially, and people aren't always happy with what they get, and sometimes they need to get refunds. And it seems that you mainly have to go through Amazon or protocols like this. So I would say the scope of this problem seems to be growing exponentially right now as well. Are there other platforms that are trying to do something similar, and have you found a unique function for the Boson protocol in solving this problem?
Yeah, so we aren't a marketplace ourselves. We are the underlying, like the basic plumbing, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do two things. We coordinate the commercial transactions using game theory to reduce the requirement for any human intervention or arbitration to an absolute minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that other marketplaces or decentralized projects or digital platforms, machine to machine commerce, a whole host of use cases can plug into us as a component, and we will just enable you know frictionless, low friction, low cost, low trust transactions in a
Mm-hmm.
completely automated way. So that's one side of what we do. We also then we also then aggregate the commerce data. So this very valuable data set of matching customers preferences. So what products different customers would like, and we then monetize that data. The difference being that the value that is created from the coordination of commercial transactions and the monetization of data, instead of that going up to Jeff Bezos or to me, that is then recycled within the community via the boson token. So
Mm.
that value is distributed in a fair and equitable way.
Interesting. And when I first looked at your website, it talks about putting real world information into the blockchain so that you can make these transactions. And that sort of makes me think of, like an oracle, like trying to fit real world information into a smart contract, sort of like what, Chainlink is doing. And that project has grown exponentially with the fact that they're creating all of these oracles. Is that a part of the Boson protocol as well, that it uses oracles, or it is an oracle to actually put the information into the smart contracts?
Yeah, I mean that's another way to think of boson protocol. So the classic Oracle problem is the data Oracle problem, that smart contracts can't trust real world data, and projects such as Chainlink, kind of provide a really good solution for that. But there is another Oracle problem, which it's like the physical asset Oracle problem,
Mm-hmm.
and that is if you, Ashton, were to tokenize your car, and sell me the token, that's great. I've got a token representing your car, but how do I get, you know, how do I actually get the car? And it's tying that kind of that tokenized asset to the car, and that's a really hard, that's a, you know, problem to solve. Actually, we work around that problem. So instead of trying to tokenize the car itself, what we do is you and I would tokenize a commitment, a type of futures contract that we would transact and exchange some, you know, some digital value for that car at a future point in time, and those deposits both put skin in the game and incentivize us to go through with that transaction to agreed upon level of quality. So that is our solution for the physical asset Oracle problem. And that, I mean, we focus on commerce, but I mean, that could be any commitment that is made that executes in the real or digital worlds. Boson solves for.
That's super
I guess an
interesting.
example, yeah, I mean, I guess an example of that could be a kind of a bit more of an out there example, is that if our avatars were to meet in a, you know, kind of metaverse like Decentraland, for example, and we wanted to do a transaction between two kind of virtual avatars, it would be very difficult to be able to trust that transaction would execute in the real world. However, with Boson, we provide the trust assurances that you could exchange your, you know, digital value, and then that transaction would either execute as agreed in the real world, or that the buyer would get their money back.
Yeah, no, Justin, that's super interesting, and that's a major problem, is, you know, tokenizing real world items and, you know, being able to transfer them easily, but then having that real world commitment where you actually have to prove that the item got to the person who bought it. So I really like that, and I think that's why right now a lot of these marketplaces that are decentralized marketplaces, at least throughout 2020, have been focused on digital assets like NFTs. You know, non-fungible tokens have become super popular throughout this year. And well, Pokemon cards as well, interestingly enough, are in a huge surplus right now. But NFTs and NFT marketplaces seem to have taken off. And you don't need to settle the real world art, because it's usually digital art or some digital asset, right? So has Boson Protocol already started working with NFT marketplaces, or that's in the works, and how is that going?
That's in the works. So yeah, at the moment we are we're finalizing the development of our prototype, which is essentially is going to be a live app that you can transact peer to peer, but that also gives you a view on the game theory and explains how that works. But absolutely, we're in conversations with a number of those marketplaces, and yeah, we will. You'll be able to sell the Boson non-fungible token vouchers on those marketplaces and have assurances that you will be able to redeem in the real world or get your money back.
That's interesting. That's great. And I guess another question is, you know, part of the reason why these marketplaces haven't gotten to the size of centralized marketplaces is because they're harder to use, and people don't really understand the technical aspect of non-fungible tokens, or, you know, holding your own wallets, and how the smart contract actually settles it for you. With the Boson protocol, I guess you're really just the underlying technology, but is there any extra knowledge that is needed for people, or is this going to be able to be input into a marketplace where laymen can use it and they don't need to understand blockchain technology and any of the underlying tech?
That's a really important question. So Boson protocol itself is the underlying technology, and some of our initial partnerships will be with, for example, exchanges and crypto credit cards. And the reason for that is there's multiple reasons. One is that's where you've got large aggregated pools of users that are interested in crypto. And at the moment, crypto is pretty sparse across the general population. So there's a pool of users there. Second, crypto exchanges and crypto credit cards have already solved for having, you know, kind of user experience and an interface that we can plug into that the users know how to use. So that's really important. And thirdly, in the same way that, I mean, I used to run a sort of billion-dollar platform that sold to MasterCard and Visa and crypto rewards solutions. And these sort of financial services products are the underlying product is pretty similar. And so therefore they all need to differentiate. So, but offering real world products and services is a very desirable way of doing that. So our initial strategy will be to plug into crypto exchanges and credit cards to enable a crypto native way for these products to differentiate themselves.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And you mentioned that you're working on the prototype right now. I'm curious, what is your roadmap for, you know, finishing out 2020 and, you know, the first half of 2021?
So we're actually refactoring our roadmap because we've had such demand from customers that what was previously a kind of sequential roadmap, we're now having to parallel, and we are kind of beefing up the development team and actually recruiting a very senior VP of engineering to sit alongside my technical co-founder and CTO. So we're in acceleration mode at the moment.
That's
Which is
great.
good.
Yeah, that's great. And what's the best way for viewers to follow along with the progress of the project and see it implemented in the markets?
So our website, bosonprotocol.io, is a good touch point, and our Telegram channel, which is at Boson Protocol, is a great way to keep up to date with the protocol and join in with the community.
That sounds great, Justin. I will leave those links in the description box below as well for the viewers. Thanks so much for the time speaking about Boson Protocol, and all the best moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thanks, Ashton. It's been a pleasure.